Okay. Yeah. We're going to be starting with this new series that I'm pretty excited for. If you know me pretty well, you probably know that I have recently been putting a lot of updates into my tabletop RPG, Heaven or Hell. It's this sort of tabletop game, board game, fighting game fusion thing with similar mechanics to things like Exceed or fucking BattleCon. I don't know how I almost forgot that. And with this series, I want to do something I thought would be fun for really any of my games. It's always something I enjoy thinking about. And that is creating existing characters in fiction in my RPGs. But with Heaven or Hell, because it's meant to already really strongly replicate a genre that is fighting games, I thought, wouldn't it be fun to start creating characters in fighting games in Heaven or Hell? For future episodes, I'm going to be putting up polls for my patrons to vote on. I only have 2 right now, but if you subscribe for, I think, like $5 Canadian, I think is the lowest tier, you can vote on that and help support my continued efforts in making videos and making games, yeah. But with that intro, let's go to the actual show, with episode 1, covering Ryu, the protagonist of Street Fighter and master of Shotokan karate. Even if you've never played any of the Street Fighter games, you probably know the guy. Ryu from Streets is fucking everywhere nowadays. He's in Smash, he's in Brawlhalla, he's in goddamn Fortnite. He's so popular that you might even know his 3 main moves from his games. Even, if you've never played a fucking Street Fighter game. He's got the Hadouken, the Tatsumaki Seppukaku, and the Shoryuken. So he's the perfect character for me to start off this series with. However, before we start building Ryu in 2H, we're going to need to decide on what version of Ryu we're trying to make. Not only has Ryu appeared in most of the Street Fighter games, but also in crossover games like Tekken vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom, and, Smash Bros. We're going to be making the Ryu from Third Strike, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. Totally because it's a beloved game, and not because it's the only one I have to record. When we start making any 2H character, the first thing we've got to consider is what are the 4 most important moves we want to replicate. As a Tier 1 character, the starting point in character creation and earliest level we can make a character at. You only have 4 available slots to fill, assuming you're not going to be replacing your 6 universal techniques to make your 10 total. You can consider the universal techniques in this case to be Ryu's normals. The options in the game already pretty closely replicate what he has access to. A long-range button with some okay combos, kind of like his forward heavy punch. A close-ranged flurry that does decent pushback and doesn't allow for much combos. Something like a crouching light kick, light punch, light kick. You've got the grab, which is a grab. Technically, if you want to be specific, it is always a back throw, as it always crosses up. And basic movement. Things that most characters in most fighting games have some access to. And if not, of course, we can do some replacements. I somehow forgot to mention that 2H has a universal parry, which normally would just replicate blocking in most fighting games. The pacing of it is slightly different just to match the balance of the game, but in this case, as we're making Street Fighter 3 Ryu, it's an even better replication as Street Fighter has a universal parry. With these 4 techniques for Ryu, I think it's a pretty easy choice to make. 3 of those 4 techniques have to go to his most famous moves. Like I said before, his 3 original specials, the Hadouken, Tatsumaki Seppukaku, and the Shoryuken, need to be included. The real question is, and the only real difficult part of making this decision, is what that 4th slot should be. I would argue for his donkey kick, the Joden Sokuto Gyeri, as it's really fucking funny. I love the donkey kick. It's my favorite move in Street Fighter 3. Maybe a bit lower than Sean's basketball, but you know, that's not what we're talking about today. But what is probably more important to focus on is one of his supers. 2H has a system of ultimates, which are basically just moves that you are limited in how you're supposed to use them. You can only use them at a certain amount of health, you can only use them once per round, and, you know, they replicate fighting game supers. Ryu has 3 supers. In Third Strike, he has the Shinku Hadouken, which is big fireball, Shin Shoryuken, which is big uppercut, and Denjin Hadouken, which is like Shin Hadouken, but it's a bit worse meter-wise, and you can charge it up to be a big ol' unblockable stinger. And with the pre-planning all settled, let's start building this bad boy. Starting with the attributes. 2H's RPG stat system, with the 3 attributes being Fortitude, which is, you know, health, Speed, which helps you with your movement techniques mostly, and Power, which is most of your damage things scale off of it. Ryu has to use the Generalist spread, giving him a D8 and 2D6 to spread across those 3 attributes. Not only is he extremely average numbers-wise in most of his games, he's the poster boy when it comes to all-rounders in all fighting games. With this Generalist spread, we'll give the D8 to his Power, as he's not particularly tanky or fast in most of his appearances, but he does do a lot of damage at times. For his first archetype, we're going to be taking a level of Battle Witch. It's got the premier projectile of the game, the Hexing Orb. It's average, covers good distance, is a great control tool for anyone who wants to be creating distance. A perfect representation of Ryu's staple fireball, one of the first in any fighting games. Unfortunately, the spikes you also get at level 1 of Battle Witch are kind of useless. It just doesn't really work. Ryu doesn't tend to lay down caltrops or magical umbral spines or whatever in at least most of the games I've seen him in. At the second level for Tier 1, we'll be going into Dancer. It has a technique called Dynamic Entry, which allows its user to close the distance across full screen with some good speed. However, it is incredibly unsafe when blocked or parried, I guess in this case. It's effectively a Tatsu, something that not only works in the basic fiction of a move that sends you across the screen pretty fast, but also in function, as it beats out the Hexing Orb, the standard projectile, due to its speed. And finally, we need the Shoryu somehow, and that last level will go to Flagellant. Its Hot-Blooded Reversal is a perfect Dragon Punch, invincible, close-ranged, death on block. At first I thought we were out of luck here. I need a 4th level in order to fill out the Technique dice for Ryu, which, you know, you've got the extra slots to fill in with new moves, you may as well. But we don't have any more levels, you only get 3 levels at Tier 1. And none of the remaining techniques seem to really work. Like I emphasized initially, Battle Witch's Umbral Spines do nothing for you, they don't really make any sense. The Flash Step from Dancer gives you a Dragon Ball style Vanish, which not really a thing in Street Fighter games, let's be honest. However, the second ability from Flagellant might work. Their Adrenaline Rush allows them to sap their own health to take another action and give it an additional buff, allowing you to combo off it, deal more damage, stuff like that. Which honestly works really well to replicate Ryu's 3 supers, as they are only really powered up versions of his Hadouken and Shoryuken. Which, you know, we already have in the kit. Of course, it's not exactly the case as it is in Third Strike, as you don't actually get to combo off of those most of the time. And, well, you don't sap your blood or whatever to activate them. But with the one specialization, an ability that allows you, or a thing in character creation that allows you to choose one of your techniques and give it an additional effect, chosen from a list of specialties, we can give that Adrenaline Rush unparalleled, which will make it into an ultimate. really solidifying the usage of it as a super. And with that, we have Ryu. And the end of our first episode of In the Lab, I think I'm gonna call it. I don't know, maybe by the time the video's out, I'll have a different name for this, but yeah. I want to thank my 2 patrons, by the name of Freedom and MW, and of course, I would love it if you could check out the Patreon after this, and maybe take a look at a poll that I will probably have posted about what the next character is going to be. If not, you can check out Heaven or Hell, which will also be in the description, or just, you know, like and sub, YouTuber thing. But yeah, I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you later for more content.